Well, there's so many transfer rumours that I've finally caved in. Hang on a minute, I've got to get the cat off my lap. I finally, I finally caved in, and I'm going to do a transfer rumours update show and bring you the latest stories that are out there when it comes to West Ham United and transfers. Um, now, the stories are coming in thick and fast. It really is a bit of a headache trying to determine what's worth talking about and what seems to be just pure speculative nonsense. So I'll try and give you the best of the rumours as I can. And let's start with yet more players who, according to various sources, are destined to leave West Ham. And I'll run through them very, very briefly because I've already talked a lot about players leaving the club. And the first, of course, we know we've talked about the players out of contract: Fabianski, Soufal, Zuma, Ings, and Creswell. And in addition to that, we kind of know that the loan players, Evan Ferguson and Carlos Soler, are likely to be leaving as well. And then there's the unknown around Mikel Antonio. I did a show about that just the other day. And I've also mentioned about Guido Rodriguez, with a number of his former clubs being interested, as well as Naif Agurd stating that he doesn't want to come back to West Ham after his loan spell at Real Sociedad has ended. Now, that's 10 players already. But this week alone, we've heard yet even more players potentially leaving the club. And the first, of course, is the conflicting stories around Tomas Soucek. You'll get one ITK telling you that Tomas Soucek is most certainly leaving, and that he's been told by the club that he can go and find himself another club to sign for, with, of course, Everton and Leeds United showing an apparent interest. Now, I call that bullshit, and I'm sure many of you will as well, because not only do we get that kind of ITK story saying that he's been told he can leave, where conflicting ITK story is suggesting that none of this is true and that he's staying put for the time being. Look, I mean, every player has got a price. We all think that Soucek is likely to. I personally think that Soucek is likely to stay, but I guess we'll soon find out when the transfer window opens. He scored his 9th goal of the season against Man United last weekend, and he put in a performance that is worthy of note. And let's not forget, when Bowen was subbed, he gave the armband to Soucek. I think that speaks volumes, to be quite honest with you. Whilst he may not necessarily remain as a regular first team player, a first 11 selection, his vast experience, I think, is likely to keep Soucek at West Ham for at least another season at the very least. Next up is Nicholas Fulkrug, apparently attracting interest from Turkish club I can't pronounce it, Besiktas. And they believe that alongside Walter Wehrhorst, he and Wehrhorst can elevate the Turkish club to the league title next season. Do I think Fulkrug will leave? Well, do you know what? There's every chance that he may do. And the reason being is because of the World Cup. But he does give Potter a different dimension. You know, under Potter, he could be to West Ham what Danny Welbeck was, or still is, to Brighton. But like I said, with the 2026 World Cup looming next year, every player has got an aspiration to represent their respective countries in that tournament. And the last thing that someone like Fulkrug is going to want to do is to sit on West Ham's bench. Hence, Fulkrug may himself push for to leave West Ham United. Will it be Turkey? I don't know. I guess we'll see. And the next one made me giggle at the same time as swear. Some journalists who really love to stir things up are suggesting much the same about Jarrod Bowen. They're basically stating that if Jarrod Bowen wants to make the England squad for the World Cup next season, he's going to have to leave West Ham United. And one such club he should consider is Man United. What a load of hogwash. What a load of old tosh. Bowen should be part of the England setup on merit alone. He has outperformed Bukayo Saka in the Premier League, But yet Saka is seen as a sort of a shoe-in, a cert to make the England squad, whilst Jared Bowen, there are question marks over him. I don't understand that. I really don't. I think it's nonsense, absolute nonsense, that he's going to go to Man United. That's for sure. And then we have the ongoing case of Lucas Paquetá. Contrary to reports on Wednesday, the Brazilian international has not been sold to Flamengo for £29.5 million. Now, the report went on to say that Paquetá would be available for the forthcoming Club World Cup Championship in June. Wishful thinking, but if Paquetá is cleared of the FA charges, his destination is more than likely still going to be Manchester City, where we could see a potential, the player potentially being used as a makeshift to bring the likes of James McAtee to West Ham United. Now, that rumour has got far more legs than Paquetá going off to Brazil to play in some tournament in June. And then there's another player who's apparently destined to leave, and that is Emerson. Rumours persisting that Emerson wishes to return to Italy, and there are some suggestions that he could be used as a player plus cash deal to get Napoli's Matthias Oliveira. A bit far-fetched, I'd say it is. You know, Napoli could be crowned Italian champions anytime soon, and they'll be playing in the Champions League next season. So, but I guess stranger things have happened in football, haven't they? But I don't hold much court to that particular rumour. But so much for players potentially leaving West Ham United. What about players coming in? Now, the number of transfer links is just getting ridiculous, as it always does around transfer window time. And like all YouTube content providers, we can only report. We can't just report on every single transfer story that's out there. I know some YouTube channels try to do that. I used to do that when I first started doing it. I thought, what content shall I use? I tell you what, I go through every single transfer story that there is. You soon get tired of it. I'll tell you that for nothing. Now, what I'm trying to do is pick out what seems to be more credible stories. You know, when we see the headlines from well-known ITKs suggesting that we've got concrete interest, or that a player is a clear target, or that we've actually started negotiations or talks, many of us fans want to believe that these stories are 100% true. But alas, what we're asked to believe often turns into nothing more than maybe just an inquiry about a player. And then, of course, we get upset as a fan base and blame the board for a transfer that just didn't happen, because really, 9 times out of 10, it was never, ever going to happen in the first place. So what about the players? Well, first off, is a player that is persisting in terms of transfer rumours, and that's Burnley's centre-back, CJ Egan-Riley. He's been the most talked about player this week by far. It's not the first time that his name has been mentioned, but it is suggested that club insiders have stated that we have started conversations with Egan-Riley and his agent in order to get him to move to West Ham United. 22 years of age, England under-21 international, and like I said, he'll be a free agent within the coming weeks. Now, many fans will say, well, hang on a minute. I thought we were skint. I thought we can't get any players in. Well, this is slightly different, isn't it? For any player that's a free agent, all it means is that we've got to agree a decent signing on fee as well as his wages. And given that we've got quite a few players leaving the club, that I talked about it just a few weeks, I think last week, that we're going to be freeing up something like 23, 24 million pounds in the wages bill with all the players leaving. So we'll have adequate money to pay Egan-Riley a good signing on fee, plus a decent wage at West Ham if he signs for us. Look, he's certainly been a decent player for Burnley this season. And he's the caliber of player from the Championship that we should be going for. Of course, Burnley would love for Egan-Riley to sign an extended deal, but that doesn't look like it's on the cards. Now, there is a slight twist to this, of course, because French club Strasbourg have apparently offered him a 5-year deal with a potential pathway to moving to Chelsea in the future because of Strasbourg and Chelsea's connections. But it's been reported today that David Sullivan is is personally intervening in this deal to get the young talent to sign for West Ham. So there you go. Our chances of getting him are well and truly over. Look, I think he's a decent player. I think he's exactly the sort of player that we should be going for. So, let's see what happens with that centre backs, whether we get that centre back or not. Another player that we've got apparent interest in, and I know the rumours have died down of late, but I believe that we're not giving up our interest in versatile defender Kyle Walker-Peters. Just like Egan-Riley, Walker-Peters will be a free agent this summer, and his player profile absolutely fits into what we need for next season. With confirmation that Vladimir Coufal is leaving, and as I've already mentioned, continued talk about Emerson potentially leaving, Walker-Peters would not only be a decent alternative for the right-back role, he'll also be a decent alternative for the left-back role as well, much like Aaron Wan-Bissaka has been used this season. Imagine him and Walker-Peters playing on the right and the left. I mean, they've got very similar traits, very similar skills. They've got pace. They're good going forward. They're good at defending. It's possible. A versatile defender like Walker-Peters would fit in perfectly at West Ham. And I think it's quite possible that we will get a deal done for him in the summer transfer window. And now for some names that are kind of appeared over the last few days or so. And the first one is Swiss international Ardon Jashari. It's a name who's been linked to us this week. 22 years of age, defensive midfielder. He's made quite a name for himself in the one season that he's been at Club Bruges. He joined them last summer from Lucerne, the Swiss football club that he developed through the youth ranks from. Bruges paid just €6 million for the player, and he's already made 50 appearances this season for them, including domestic cup and Champions League competitions. For a defensive midfielder, he's done exceptionally well, where he scored 4 goals and assisted in 6. And although, despite making 11 appearances in the Champions League, none of those goals or assists came in that competition. Now, is that important? Well, perhaps, yeah. The Belgian league is decent, but many would argue that it isn't to the level of the Premier League. So if Jashari made his mark in the Champions League, then maybe they'd be more interested in him. Well, to be honest, there already is quite a lot of interest in him. And at £20 million, apparently there are quite a few clubs that would certainly like to sign this player. Now, he's a very good player, defensive midfielder, but he's got all the qualities to become an excellent box-to-box midfielder. Shades of Declan Rice, maybe? He's also a Swiss international, but he's only made 2 very brief appearances, two cameo roles for the Swiss team, which was way back in 2022. Look, he's been in and out of the national squad since then, but only those 2 appearances so far. When he was playing for Lucerne, it was usually in a 4-3-1-2 formation, in a double pivot. Or in a 4-2-3-1 formation in a double defensive pivot. What is very likely to attract Potter is the player's engine, hence the thinking that he could turn into a very good box-to-box midfielder, and also for his forward ball progression. He was the engine for Lucerne, and he's since done the same for Bruges. Most of the attacking build-up goes directly through this player. His thought process on the pitch is just to drive forward all the time. If there is a flaw to his game, it's his height, if anything else. At 5'11", he's not the tallest midfielder, so his aerial duties obviously need a bit of strengthening. His playing style has been compared to that of Man City's Rodri, and the performances that he did put in during the Champions League campaign have certainly caught the eye of many teams around Europe. Can we get him? Do we stand a chance to? Well, if good enough, Jashari will certainly get plenty of game time in a side that could really do with that added level of technical ability in ball passing and ball possession. And given his versatility in playing either as a defensive midfielder or a more central attacking role, hence the box-to-box link, a team like West Ham could certainly offer the platform for this player to demonstrate what he's really capable of in a much more competitive league. Some other transfer stories that I will mention briefly, but not go into as much detail until I think there's more validity to them, are the following. First of all, there is apparent interest in German striker Jonathan Burkhart. Now, it's been suggested that the German club Mainz, who he plays for, would be interested in hearing offers for the 24-year-old striker who's made 3 appearances for the German national team. Burkhart developed mainly through the Mainz youth scheme and has 2 years remaining on his current contract. Since progressing from the youth development at Mainz, he's made 144 appearances for the senior team, scoring 44 goals with 14 assists. He has been consistent as 18 of those 44 goals have been this season. He scored them this season. For Mainz to suggest that they would be interested in offers has come as a bit of a surprise, because during the January transfer window, they imposed a transfer ban on this player going anywhere. Now, that may be because Mainz were looking to get into Europe through their league position, and they saw Burkhart as an essential part of that. Mainz actually currently sits 6th in the German Bundesliga with just 1 game left to play. So it's quite possible that they will make Europe after all. I think it's likely that the German club wants to create a bidding war for the player, as there are apparently quite a few German clubs interested in him, and he's currently valued at a very modest £17 million. Now, of course, in order to ramp that value up, if there is a bidding war, then that benefits Mainz. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. Next up, or finally, should I say for now, the latest rumor is that we're interested in 20-year-old Anderlecht midfielder Mario Strikens. Now, the attacking midfielder rose through the youth ranks and made his senior debut way back in 2021 when he was just 16 years of age. He's a Belgian under-21 international. He's got a year left on his Anderlecht contract, and despite the club wanting him to sign an extended deal, they're resigned to the fact that in order to get a return on him, they're going to have to sell him this coming summer. However, the young player doesn't come with a clean bill of health, as he's missed 20 games this season due to various injuries, such as a ligament tear, as well as an ankle and muscle injuries as well. He has made 130 appearances for Anderlecht, scoring 15 goals with 14 assists. But this season, despite missing so many games, he still managed to get 4 goals with 6 assists. I guess that's not bad, but it's not great return given his injury record. Now, there's no denying he's a talent, but any better than any of the younger players that we've got? I don't know. That remains to be seen. That's it. That's my quick roundup. I'll be back again with a preview of the game against Nottingham Forest. That'll be on Friday, so do look out for that. Tell me what you think. Do you like any of the players that I've mentioned? Do you think they're worthy of West Ham pursuing them? If so, which ones would you prefer? And what about the players leaving? What about Soucek and various others? Would you like to see Soucek stay? I mean, he's a bit of a Marmite sort of player to many West Ham fans, isn't he? Some fans love him. Other fans don't love him as much. Thank you for watching and listening. If you're new to this channel, please do consider subscribing. It costs nothing to subscribe. All the content is free. And above all else, once the video is finished, please do hit the like button, as that helps the channel elevate and in the regions of YouTube's, I don't know how it all works. You know better than I do. Thank you for watching and listening, and I'll see you all soon.